कवर स्टोरी जी आहे ती जसं मी म्हटलं डील्स विथ द प्लॅनिंग कमिशन or more so with what is called as a very irrelevance of planning in the 21st century. And usual suspects, usual people are the ones who have put in their opinions. For the front line and the people who have written in it, obviously आपण सुरुवातीलाच म्हटलेलं होतं की what sort of people exactly go about writing in the front line हे कुठं ना कुठं तरी एकदम क्लिअर आहे. त्याच्यामुळे त्यांच्या पोझिशन्स ज्या आहेत त्या अनेक गोष्टींच्या बाबतल्या खूप क्लिअर आहे. सो त्यांची भूमिका हीच आहे कि whatever is happening is a disastrous thing, should never happen, and in some way or the other it is a very wrong sort of a thing to happen. Though cogent arguments ज्याला आपण म्हणू शकतो की बाबा काय प्रकारचे arguments तुम्ही याच्यामध्ये करू शकता, हे सगळे arguments are sort of contingent to the very existence of the commission. की जर कमिशन अस्तित्वात असेल तर कमिशन काय करतं याच्या भोवती आर्ग्युमेंट सिच्युएट केले गेलेले आहेत. आर्ग्युमेंट्स कुठेही या गोष्टीच्या भोवती सिच्युएट केले गेलेले नाहीये की ज्या कारणास्तव द कमिशन वॉज शोन द डोर बाय सेइंग दॅट द कमिशन इज कम्प्लिटली इररेलिव्हेंट अँड देयर इज समथिंग व्हेरी फॉल्टी अबाउट द कमिशन. नथिंग ऑफ दॅट हॅज बीन ॲड्रेस्ड. सो नो केअर हॅज बीन टेकन टू ॲड्रेस दिस इशू की वाय एक्झॅक्टली शुड द कमिशन नॉट बी डिसबँडेड. म्हणजे त्यांचे आर्ग्युमेंट परपेच्युअली हीच आहे की कमिशन डिसबँड करणे ही एक चुकीची गोष्ट आहे. कॉन्स्टिट्युशनली कमिशनला कधीच कुठलं स्टेटस नव्हतं. त्याच्यामुळे ऑब्व्हियसली एक कॉन्स्टिट्युशनल आर्ग्युमेंट या केसमध्ये करता येत नाही. पण जे आर्ग्युमेंट केलं गेलेलं आहे जे मी तुम्हाला मागच्याच नंतर म्हटलं होतं ते अशा अर्थाने जातं की बाबा अनेक प्रकारच्या कॉन्स्टिट्युशनल प्रोसेसेसमध्ये प्लॅनिंग कमिशनला एक भूमिका आहे. ओके, पण मुळातच प्लॅनिंग कमिशनचं अस्तित्व हे स्टॅच्युटरी आहे, हे कुठेही कॉन्स्टिट्युशनल नाही. द आर्टिकल्स मेक नो मेन्शन ऑफ दॅट. सो ते कुठेही या गोष्टीला टच करत नाही की प्लॅनिंग कमिशनच्या बाबतीत काहीतरी फंडामेंटल फॉल्ट आहे in terms of the way in which it was conceived in the very first place. Okay, that is something that has been made a loud noise of by the Independent Evaluator's Office, who has gone about putting on record the fact that the commission is fundamentally flawed in terms of its very existence as such. की एक गव्हर्नमेंट GR काढून अस्तित्वात आलेली बॉडी trying to compare itself with bodies set up by the Constitution of India and trying to in some way or the other become a parallel power center. You carried on with it for 60 years. There's no reason why you should carry on with it now. Okay, so on one hand is an argument which says की गेली 60 वर्ष जे काही केलं गेलं, 60-65 जे काही वर्ष केलं गेलं ते पुढं कंटिन्यू केलं गेलंच पाहिजे ह्याची ना तो कुठली गरज आहे आणि नाही त्याच्यासाठी कसल्याही प्रकारची काय त्याला आपण म्हणतो स्ट्रॉंग ग्राउंड्स अस्तित्वात आहेत. Whereas a frontline argument is कि the sort of economic model that we are now looking at and now talking of, in that sort of thing the planning commission becomes an absolute trouble. The planning commission becomes some sort of a body which needs to be done away with because this economic model cannot be taken any further. Ata I hope most of you would recall what I had said last week when I had said this, that the planning commission at no point of time can be proven empirically to ever have an obstacle, something called as a growth or a policy agenda set by the government of India. म्हणजे कुठल्याही लेवलला ज्या स्टाईलची बॉडी आहे, ज्या पद्धतीने फंक्शन करते, ज्या पद्धतीने स्वतःची लेजिटिमसी डिराईव्ह करते, त्या सगळ्या गोष्टींकडे बघितलं असता असा कुठेही स्पेस नाहीये की द प्लॅनिंग कमिशन एव्हर इज गोइंग टू गो अबाउट रेझिंग अ रेड फ्लॅग सेइंग दिस दॅट वॉट एव्हर द गव्हर्नमेंट इज सेइंग इज रॉंग. टिल डेट द कमिशन हॅज फंडामेंटली फोकस्ड ऑल अटेन्शन on trying to prove the government right. Ki once there has been a reasonable sort of policy decision which has been taken, the commission goes about marshalling a vast amount of empirical evidence to prove that this policy decision is in some way or the other right. ह्याच्यामध्ये कुठल्याही प्रकारची गोष्टही चुकीची नाही. ओके, सो असं असताना आता मग उलटीकडनं प्रॉब्लेम असा आहे की जर हे इतकं साधा आहे की बाबा the government of India at any given point of time of the day decides and takes a certain sort of policy decision. The planning commission creates a vast amount of documentation, a vast amount of evidence to prove that this decision is workable, should be worked on and is patently right. So all that they go about doing is to create this sort of ground to say that हा जो काही निर्णय घेतला गेलेला आहे हा बरोबर आहे. जर प्लॅनिंग कमिशन इतकं येसमन टाइप ऑफ बॉडी आहे, द पर्सन अपॉइंटिंग द कमिशन इज गोइंग टू बी द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया. द पर्सन ऑन अकाउंट ऑफ होम द कमिशन फंक्शन्स इज गोइंग टू बी द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया. तर मग साधा प्रॉब्लेम असा आहे की द प्राईम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया इज इन अल्टिमेट चार्ज. ही इज द चेअरपर्सन ऑफ द कमिशन. ही इज द वन हू गेट्स द कमिशन ऑन बोर्ड. ही इज द वन हू गोज अबाउट कन्व्हिनिंग द डिफरंट मीटिंग्स ऑफ द कमिशन अँड नॉर्मली फिक्सेस अप द कमिशन विथ पीपल ऑफ हिज चॉईस. आता जर एवढं सगळं पॉझिटिव्ह असतं आणि एवढं सगळं एका अर्थाने अंडर द कंट्रोल ऑफ द प्राईम मिनिस्टर असेल, तर मग वाय शुड ही डिसाइड दॅट ही नीड्स टू डिसबँड द कमिशन? तो in a very extremist sort of way, that's exactly what he is proving. कि given the fact that I appointed, given the fact that I conducted, now I decide that I don't want it. So it's as simple as that. कि what has he done on the 15th of August? What he has done on the 15th of August is, हे सगळं जर मीच चालवत असेल, हे सगळं जर मी चालवणंच अपेक्षित असेल आतापर्यंतच्या सगळ्या पडलेल्या प्रघातांनुसार आणि ट्रेडिशन्सनुसार, मग आता मीच ठरवतो की मला कमिशन नकोय. ओके, अँड देयर इज नो रिझन वाय यू शुड क्राय होर्स अबाउट इट, बिकॉज इन अन इक्वली different state of mind was the commission brought into existence. Okay, at one point of time it was decided we would have a planning commission, there would be a planning commission, appoint a planning commission. So if it was brought into existence in that sort of a situation, पण जो जुना इश्यू आहे जो कधी कुठेही जात नाही, if the Congress as of now is so worried about the fact that a patent illegality is being committed, the Congress should answer for the fact that since 1952 to 2015, 2014 when this act has been finally done, ते जे काही 60 वर्ष आहेत मधली, in most of those 60 years the Congress was a party in power. Why did the Congress at no point of time ever try to give the Planning Commission a constitutional stature, a sort of status which cannot be arrived to it easily, and a sort of status wherein the commission could have had functioned in a very different manner? But therein lies the nub of the entire problem. तसं जर केलं असतं तर in that case the commission would have had been answerable to parliament, not to the government of the day. And what was being looked at was a body constituted of what are called as self-certified experts who would be responsible and accountable to them. If the whole argument is that on the 15th of August 2014 some patent illegality was committed by deciding that the planning commission needs to be disbanded, simple, 60 वर्षांमध्ये तुम्ही सत्तेत होता, तुम्ही 60 वर्षांमध्ये कमिशनला कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल स्टेटस देऊ शकलात. तुम्ही या गेल्या 60 वर्षांमध्ये ज्या वेळेला जास्तीत जास्त काळासाठी सत्तेमध्ये आहात, why did you never think in terms of according a certain constitutional status to the commission, whereby it could have had become a more independent body? Maybe even then the levers would have had stayed with the state, the party in power. If you look at the way in which the Finance Commission is appointed, if you look at the way in which a number of such commissions that function under the government of India are appointed, in all those types of situations, the government of the day does carry a lot of importance in terms of deciding as to who gets appointed to these commissions and how do these commissions function. Okay, but the only thing that happens in most of those cases is those commissions are perfectly accountable to what is called as Parliament. Given the fact that they have been raised under the Constitution, their accountability stays to Parliament. So you could easily have done that. You did not do that. You always wanted a pliable body. And now if there is a new sort of development which says that we don't want to function in this pliability, आम्हाला ह्या गोष्टीची गरजच नाही, we can easily do away with it. So I don't know as to how exactly legitimate is this concern and how exactly legitimate is this whole problem की जे काही केलं जातंय ते खूप चुकीचं आहे. आणि जसं मी मागच्या वेळेस देखील म्हणताना म्हटलं की डिसबँड करण्याचे प्रोग्राम्स हे गेली 20 वर्ष चाललेले आहेत. ठीक आहे, आज सुरू झालेली गोष्ट नाहीये. द कमिशन, द गव्हर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया इन ऑगस्ट 2014 अपॉइंटेड अ इंडिपेंडेंट इव्हॅल्युएशन ऑफिस विथ द आयडिया की अर्थात आयओनी प्लॅनिंग कमिशन बद्दल काही बोलणं अपेक्षित नव्हतं. The independent evaluators office was appointed for evaluating what are called as government programs in which public monies are involved. So a range of programs. They interestingly started with what are called as NREGA wale programs related to natal as well as maternal health and all of them. They started work on completely different types of programs. At some point of time, the Director General of the office delivers a report to the Government of India which is very candid about this, that the commission needs to be disbanded. Okay, and I'll just quote a couple of things as to what are there in the report. म्हणजे त्यांनी त्यांची केस बनवत असताना ती केस काय पद्धतीने बिल्ट अप केलेली आहे, and it's a very interesting way by which they have gone about building up the case. So just give me 1 minute to go through that, because that's a very interesting idea that they have put across. The report was submitted to the PMO on June the 23rd, 2014. ऑफिस अपॉइंट केलेले 2013 मध्ये. रिपोर्ट प्लॅनिंग कमिशनच्या संदर्भातली जी डिलिव्हर केली आहे ती जून 2014 मध्ये डिलिव्हर केलेली. अँड व्हॉट इट सेज, अँड आय कोट, सिन्स द प्लॅनिंग कमिशन हॅज डिफाईड अटेम्प्ट्स to bring it in line with the needs of a modern economy and the trend of empowering the states, it is proposed that the Planning Commission be abolished. It is recommended that the Planning Commission's role as an allocator of resources to the states should be taken up by the Finance Commission, and the allocation of resources among the ministries of the central government should be carried out by the Finance Ministry. It is also proposed that the role of the Planning Commission as a think tank of the government be carried out by a specialized body staffed by experts with domain knowledge. This is in contrast to the Planning Commission, which is manned by generalist bureaucrats who currently comprise the vast majority of its staff, unquote. Okay? Ata, until and unless this report doesn't use this term called as think tank, at no point of time throughout its last 60 years and more of existence was the Planning Commission ever called as a think tank. This would be the first and possibly the last time that the Planning Commission was actually labeled as a think tank. मग याच्या आधीच्या कुठल्याही कसल्याही प्रकारच्या स्टडीजमध्ये कुठल्याही लेवलला असं म्हटलेलं नाही की प्लॅनिंग कमिशन थिंक टँक आहे. इथं पहिल्यांदा असं म्हटलेलं आहे की प्लॅनिंग कमिशन थिंक टँक आहे. ओके, सो व्हॉट इट इज डुईंग इज द प्लॅनिंग कमिशन हॅड अ ह्यूज रोल टू प्ले इन व्हॉट वॉज कॉल्ड ॲज प्लॅन एक्सपेंडिचर. सो बजेटचा जो प्लॅन्ड एक्सपेंडिचरचा भाग आहे तो एक्झॅक्टली ॲलोकेट कसा करायचा हे ठरवण्यामध्ये प्लॅनिंग कमिशनची भूमिका ही अत्यंत महत्त्वाची भूमिका होती. अर्थात ओव्हर द इयर्स दिस पोझिशन वॉज लार्जली हॉलोड आउट, कारण वेन इट केम टू डिसाइडिंग द डिव्हिजन बिटवीन द रेव्हेन्यूज ऑफ द स्टेट्स अँड द युनियन गव्हर्नमेंट, that role was already taken up by the Finance Commission, a body which is perfectly constitutional and a body which is accountable to Parliament. Okay, the Finance Commission is appointed by the President of India, but the Finance Commission largely functions under what is called as a certain idea of parliamentary accountability. So Finance Commission ने already या प्रकारच्या सगळ्या गोष्टी करायला सुरुवात पूर्वीपासूनच केलेली आहे. So त्या अर्थाने there is no major sort of loss of role as far as the Planning Commission is concerned. पण द छिब्बर रिपोर्ट सेज दिस दॅट की करताना काय केलं जावं की जे काही डिव्हिजन करायचे ऑफ फंड्स बिटवीन द डिफरंट मिनिस्ट्रीज ऑफ द युनियन गव्हर्नमेंट, दिस शुड बी डन बाय द फायनान्स मिनिस्ट्री. पैसे जे डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करायचे बिटवीन युनियन अँड स्टेट्स, दिस शुड बी डन बाय द फायनान्स कमिशन and the planning commission should be abolished. Now what he is trying to say, please look at the first part of it. He says the planning commission has defied attempts to bring it in line with the needs of a modern economy and the trend of empowering the states. It is proposed that the planning commission be abolished. This is the very first statement, divided into two parts. The first thing that he says is the planning commission has defied attempts to function as something that would cater to a modern economy. Now the problem is a commission which functions on account of the will of the government of the day cannot have a will of its own independent of the government of the day. So असं म्हणणं की the planning commission is defying something. The planning commission cannot defy anything, because at the end of the day the planning commission does not have an autonomous will of its own. उसका जो भी will है वो बेसिकली विल है ऑफ द गव्हर्नमेंट ऑफ द डे. सो असं म्हणत असताना की ज्याला तुम्ही असं म्हणता की नाही इट हॅज शोन नो साइन्स ऑफ मॉडर्नायझिंग इट सेल्फ इन अकॉर्डन्स विथ व्हॉट इज कॉल्ड एज अ चेंजिंग इकॉनॉमी. पण चेंजिंग इकॉनॉमी बरोबर मॉडर्नाइज कमिशन करायची होती, ही सरकारने करणं अपेक्षित आहे. कमिशन स्वतःहून काहीच करू शकत नाही ना. सो इट्स इसेन्शियली द स्टेट विच हॅज फेल्ड टू मॉडर्नाइज द कमिशन in the light of the fact that you have entered into a new economy. Ata what was supposed to be done by making it a more modern body? What was supposed to be done was something which he is saying later on, sort of rendering it into a think tank sort of an activity, sort of rendering it into a sort of activity where different types of plans and different types of ideas are jostled for, but not at all in a decisive position when it comes to allocating funds and resources. So कमिशनची ती जी एक ऑटोनॉमी आहे टू डिसाइड एज टू हू गेट्स व्हॉट, दिस शुड बी विटल्ड ऑफ. दिस शुड नॉट एट ऑल स्टे ऑन बोर्ड. इट शुड एट नो लेवल बी एम्पावर्ड टू डू दिस. ओके, आणि फिट कशात केलं गेलेलं आहे? फिट केलं गेलेलं आहे इन एन आयडिया विच सेज दॅट द स्टेट्स नीड टू बी एम्पावर्ड. अ सर्टन सॉर्ट ऑफ आयडिया दॅट Modi has been time and again trying to talk of, and has been time and again trying to flag off in some way or the other that what needs to be done is the states need to be empowered. At a state empowerment, with this idea that if at all a new Indian economy would rise, it would rise as far as the states are concerned. So what you are trying to do is something of the nature wherein the federal structure should become as loose, as flexible as is possible, should be of a nature wherein you can cater to the wants of the people of India at the level of the state governments of India rather than the union government of India. So सगळ्या प्रकारची रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आणि रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी सहित गोष्टी करण्याचा अधिकार हा स्टेट्सकडे असावा अशा प्रकारची एक आयडिया फ्लोटिंग आहे. आता प्रॉब्लेम फक्त एकच आहे की इंडियन स्टेट्स आर नॉट ॲट अ व्हेरी युनिफॉर्म लेवल ऑफ डेव्हलपमेंट अँड ॲट अ व्हेरी युनिफॉर्म लेवल ऑफ व्हॉट कॅन बी कॉल्ड ॲज क्रिएटिंग रिसोर्सेस ऑफ देअर ओन. सो इफ यू लुक ॲट द 28 स्टेट्स ऑफ द इंडियन युनियन, अशी आयडिया घेऊन येणं की बाबा स्टेट्स ऑटोनॉमस असल्या पाहिजेत हे ठरवण्यामध्ये की अर्थकारण चाललं कसं पाहिजे, अर्थकारणातल्या कुठल्या पैलूंवर किती भर दिला पाहिजे, वाढ विकास काय पद्धतीने प्रोजेक्ट केला पाहिजे आणि काय पद्धतीने रेटला पाहिजे हे ठरवण्याची सगळी ऑटोनॉमी स्टेट्सला असावी. हे वर्करनी दिसताना खूप चांगलं वाटतं आणि खूप गोडही आहे. म्हणजे सॉर्ट ऑफ साऊंड्स की ओके, अ पर्सन हू हॅज टाइम अँड अगेन बीन टॉक्ड ऑफ ॲज सम सॉर्ट ऑफ अ डिक्टेटर or as some sort of a budding dictator is actually talking of a system which would be very flexible, very autonomous and more responsive. So eka arthani creates an impression ki he's been very democratic. Now one fundamental problem that you have with this proposition is Indian states are not uniform in terms of their economic developments, in terms of their backgrounds of economic development, in terms of creating and marshalling resources of their own. सो ज्या वेळेला तुम्ही असं म्हणताय की द स्टेट शुड बी इंडिपेंडेंट, दिस इज गुड इनफ फॉर गुजरात, दिस इज गुड इनफ फॉर अ स्टेट लाईक झारखंड. अँड वेन यू कम अप विथ आयडियाज ऑफ दिस टाईप, व्हॉट हॅपन्स टू द लार्जर प्रोजेक्ट ऑफ व्हॉट इज कॉल्ड एज फेडरलिझम इन दिस कंट्री? म्हणजे आर वी लुकिंग ॲट इंडिया ॲज सम सॉर्ट ऑफ अ लूज कॉंग्लोमरेशन ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंट स्टेट्स? यू आर नॉट डुईंग दॅट. हाऊ डू यू जेल दिस अप विथ द व्हेरी फर्स्ट थिंग इन द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन दॅट वी आर अ युनियन ऑफ स्टेट्स? And being a union of states, that exactly you might disagree with it. Current time and again this has been a bone of contention as far as a number of regions in India are concerned. BR permanently blames the union government's ideas of depriving it of due royalties coming out of its minerals when Jharkhand was a part of Bihar, for the reason that Bihar is a backward state. You have nativist groups in places like Bombay that keep on emphasizing and harping on the fact कि we generate the largest amount of taxes in this country and we are the most neglected ones. So ज्यावेळेला you look at that sort of a situation and then try to bring this on board, कि the state should become flexible, the state should become autonomous, the state should be responsive and responsible. But fine, this argument is not at all a problematic one. The question is, where do resources come from for states which are not capable of doing so? That's exactly where planning was called in for. It might be bad. It had its own ways of deciding. Even till the last minute, till say for example the creation of the state of Telangana, wherein you had a recommendation being made from the Congress to the union government कि Telangana should be declared a backward state, so that automatically backward plans चे जे काही benefits असतात ते सगळ्या प्रकारचे benefits तेलंगणाला मिळून जाऊ शकतील. Okay, so त्या अर्थाने permanently they have been playing around with this in a very political manner. पण फॉर दॅट मॅटर ऑफ फॅक्ट, ॲज आय सेड की जर त्याच्यात पॉलिटिक्स होतं तर ह्याच्यात पॉलिटिक्स नाही हे कुणी सांगितलं की बाबा द स्टेट शुड बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल, रिस्पॉन्सिव्ह, व्हेरी फ्लेक्सिबल अँड ऑटोनॉमस इन डिसिजन मेकिंग ॲज फार एज मॅटर्स इकॉनॉमिकल आर कन्सर्न. दिस वुड बेनिफिट लार्जर अँड वेल डेव्हलप्ड स्टेट्स इन वेस्टर्न इंडिया. हाऊ वुड इट वर्क ॲज फार एज द ईस्टर्न अँड सेंट्रल इंडियन स्टेट्स आर कन्सर्न? नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स वी नीड नॉट इवन टॉक अबाउट देम. So as far as everything going from Bengal, Jharkhand, Orissa down south is concerned, how does it work for them? Getting it? Then the ideological apparatus in terms of do we need something called as planning any longer? So we don't need it. For a very simple reason, current planning imposes a externality in terms of allocating resources. The idea of a neoliberal economy has always been resources find their best routes wherein they can maximize themselves. The market works in a certain manner wherein there is something called as an invisible hand. It takes care of everything. ज्याला जे पाहिजे त्याला ते ऑप्टिमली मिळतं इफ द स्टेट कॅन बी सबट्रॅक्टेड फ्रॉम दिस इक्वेशन. Okay, so when you say that what needs to be done is let's do away with the commission, what you're essentially doing is you're doing away with an externality in terms of deciding the allocation of resources. Resources काय पद्धतीने allocate केले जावेत. The commission had its own ways. It kept on improving itself. की बॅकवर्डनेसचे क्रायटेरिया काय असले पाहिजेत, बॅकवर्डनेस डिफाईन कसं केलं गेलं पाहिजे, कुठल्या स्टेट्सचे किती प्लॅन एकंदर या वाटणी करण्यामध्ये किती वाटा असला पाहिजे. 11 states is what they had gone about segregating. The states in the northeast, Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand, by insisting on this that these states need to be prioritized. So when it came to allocating resources, 30% of all total resources were supposed to go to these 11 states. On the ground that these are backward states, on the ground that these are underdeveloped states, and they cannot develop well by marshalling resources of their own. We know for sure that that is the case on the ground. If you look at places like Jammu and Kashmir, if you look at places like Assam and Arunachal, you know for sure कि इसके अलावा और कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. मैंने if you don't have the union government playing a proactive role, there is no way by which these states can go about marshalling resources of their own. आणि त्याच्यामध्ये the idea which works is let's create more flexible regimes. Let's go about creating more independent regimes की ज्याच्यामध्ये movement of capital is not hindered or is not directed by what is called as state policy. So let it move in a direction wherein it can optimize itself. If it feels that investing in Gujarat is much better as compared to, say, for example, investing in Jharkhand, so be it. So would that in some way leave the disparities intact? They would. But then they would rebut it by saying this that इतके वर्ष कमिशननी काम करून झारखंड आणि गुजरात हे तुम्ही इक्वेट करूच शकलेले नाहीये. सो फॉर द लास्ट 62 years द कमिशन वॉज इन एक्झिस्टन्स ना. तो गेल्या 62 वर्षाच्या अस्तित्वामध्ये जेवढेही प्रयत्न, जेवढ्याही प्रकारच्या सगळ्या रिपोर्ट्स कमिशनने जनरेट केल्या, जेवढे उपद्व्याप आणि उद्योग केले, त्याच्यानंतर तुम्ही गुजरात आणि झारखंडला कधीतरी इक्वेट करू शकलेले का? सो वाय शुड यू नाव बी वर्ड इन अ न्यू रेजिम की असं केल्याच्या नंतर की ज्याच्यामध्ये कमिशन नाहीये, देयर इज नोबडी डायरेक्टिंग रिसोर्सेस टू द अंडरडेव्हलप्ड स्टेट्स ऑफ इंडिया. It would be only places like Gujarat that would keep on optimizing resource allocation, and those would be the only states which would keep on becoming richer. 60 years of the Planning Commission, if this equation has not changed, what makes you feel that in the next 60 years of the commission being in place, this equation is going to change? येते लक्षात? So there is, as I said, a certain sort of, nobody feels bad about it. Nobody feels like there is any reason why it should be protected and preserved. The Congress's case is more or less based on the idea that this was an idea which was generated by Nehru. This had something got to do with Nehru. This is a part of the Nehruvian legacy. For that matter of fact, quite a large number of things in this country are a part of the Nehruvian legacy. But that does not mean that to uphold the legacy, unworkable things should be left intact. It's as simple as that. And as I said, की सुरुवात त्याची जी आहे, the game was started by the Congress itself. The Congress started this game way back in 1991 itself with an idea की can we do away with this business. कारण 1991 मध्येच itself तुम्हाला या गोष्टीचं अंडरस्टँडिंग आहे की somehow or the other there is something profoundly problematic with the way in which the commission works. And given the fact that the commission works independently of the government, the commission always has a certain capacity for what is called as delaying projects. So the government comes up with one set of policy decisions. The commission is a perfect place where you can delay policy decisions. Independent evaluator office was a Manmohan Singh idea. आणि evaluate काय करायचं होतं तर all the flagship programs which were in existence since 2004. Time and again a number of you know for sure when I had said this that if somebody believes that the last 10 years were 10 years of a government in which there were two independent power centers, which there were, at least on the face of it, and you had one power center completely overwhelming and dominating the other one, then please take a look at the facts on the ground. I have time and again said this that Singh was a perfect political animal who knew for sure as to how do you get your way through things. And he has always been doing this. Handling Mrs. Gandhi was not altogether a very difficult or an impossible proposition for him. He had handled the senior Mrs. Gandhi and Mrs. Gandhi's husband. तो वो बहुत अच्छी तरह से जानता था कि how do you get your way through this dispensation. And his smart way of doing this was appointing what is called an independent evaluator's office to evaluate every single scheme that came from the National Advisory Council. So you propose, we will evaluate as to how is everything working. Okay, in which the idea was, let's do away with the commission. When the office was set up in August 2013, the office is at no point of time mandated to take a look at the Planning Commission. The office generates its own independent report in June 2014 saying that the commission should be disbanded. And these are the reasons why we feel that this should be done away with. Are you getting it? So in a certain way, ये पूरा idea completely political है. At no point of time was there anything apolitical about all of this. Now, couple of things from how exactly does business in India take a look at. The Economic Survey 2014-15, which was presented before the budget, took the argument a step further. It noted that the government department got its funding from the Ministry of Finance and the Planning Commission, and this led to a suboptimal resource allocation as well as diffused accountability. Now this is a permanent problem which we have. I don't know how many of you have any idea about this. We have a Planning Commission, we also have a Ministry of Planning. So एक commission है कि जो खाली गवर्नमेंट को आंसरेबल है, एक मिनिस्ट्री है जो कैबिनेट सिस्टम का हिस्सा होने की वजह से पार्लियामेंट को आंसरेबल है. Okay, those multiple overlaps that have been created, there's something called the Ministry of Planning and Program Implementation. It has been there for quite a long period of time. It's a very prestigious ministry. Normally a very senior minister or normally a very senior person from the party in power occupies this ministry because it has quite a lot of clout when it comes to the functioning of whatever has been suggested by the Planning Commission. So कमीशन तो गवर्नमेंट को सजेस्ट करेगा. कमीशन ने जो सजेस्ट किया है उसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन का एजेंसी जो है इज द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ प्लानिंग एंड प्रोग्राम इम्प्लीमेंटेशन. Okay, and this funny way of doing things wherein you have what is called as diffused accountability. You have multiple levels of taking decisions as well as working on them. And all of this in some way or the other needs to be harmonized is the idea with which they have come. Harmony demands that the commission get lost. Okay. He has put into place the independent evaluator's office cited 4 main reasons because of which the commission should be done away with. First, federalism. Second, constitutional impropriety. Third, accountability. And fourth, its organizational structure. According to the IEO, by assuming the crucial function of allocating resources to the states, the Commission comes into conflict with the role played by a constitutional body, the Finance Commission. By doing so, it circumvents the constitutional protections that were designed to ensure impartial allocation of funds and reduces the independence of states to manage their finances and to design and implement their own developmental programs. So the first reason why it should go is this. Given the fact that the Commission is the last authority, chief ministers across India, especially coming from the poorer states, invariably have to catch the first flight to Delhi to talk to the people in the commission about what are called as their developmental needs. आणि खास करके ये जो छोटे states है, they are much more dependent on the commission as compared to the larger states. So when it comes to the larger states, they can in some way or the other, like Modi once upon a time had said, कि I don't think there is any reason why I should talk to the commission. There was this set precedence of the chief minister of a state talking to the commission's deputy chairman to finalize what is called as the plan for the state. So at one point of time, Modi refused to engage with them, saying this that there's no point in doing this because whatever the commission is proposing is inadequate as far as Gujarat's developmental requirements are concerned. This idea that you can have one size which can fit every state, one set of parameters which is workable across the union is not something that should be entertained. So he started it at his own level as chief minister to defy it. He could easily do that because he comes from a state which has its own independent ways of marshalling resources. But say for example, if you are on the other end of the country in places like Meghalaya or Mizoram, there is no way by which you could have defied the commission. So असं म्हणणं की मी तुमचा फोन घेत नाही, मी तुमच्याशी भेटत नाही, मी तुमच्याशी बोलत नाही, तुम्हाला जे करायचं ते तुम्ही करा. हे गुजरात, महाराष्ट्र, राजस्थान, to some extent Delhi, Punjab can do it. But you cannot imagine places like Mizoram, Manipur, Meghalaya, Nagaland ever even attempting dare do this. Okay, so the first fundamental problem was, again I don't know how do you look at that. It's actually a very interesting capitalist idea which says the fittest survive, which effectively means that to survive everyone makes a fit attempt. So fittest survive का flip side ये है कि the unfit perish. But at the same time, the urge to survive demands that everyone make an attempt to be fit. Am I sounding stupid? I am. Because there's a flip side, as I said. Problem ये है कि fit बनेगा कैसे? इसका भी तो कोई एक mechanism है. Fittest survive is absolute cardinal truth as far as capitalism is concerned. Because capitalism believes in what is called a social Darwinism. So fittest survive, but at the same time, once you throw them off, saying this that no longer is anything available, आता each one of you fend for yourself. So there is no reason why you should worry about Mizoram and Manipur. They'll take care of themselves. You throw them to become fit, they'll become fit, just because of the fact that they have got to survive. पण दरम्यानच्या काळामध्ये आम्ही जर का आमच्या माध्यमातून गुजरातची मदत करत राहिलो आणि मिझोरामला जे जे म्हणून आपल्याला प्रॉब्लेमॅटिक वाटतात त्यांना सगळ्यांना गव्हर्नर म्हणून पाठवायचे. मिझोराम इज अ स्टेट विच इज व्हेरी अँग्री ॲज ऑफ नाव, एक्स्ट्रीमली अँग्री, बट सॅड इनफ देयर इज नॉट मच दॅट इट कॅन डू. With just one MP in parliament, there's not much that you can anyway do. The Mizoram problem is every single governor that the Modi government wanted out was ordered to be transferred to Mizoram. In the last 100 days, as far as I know, and I have not lost count of, Mizoram has gone through something like 3 or 4 governors. People who were appointed, then people who resigned, or people who were appointed refused to accept the commission, or people who were appointed and then were thrown out of their jobs. So she कमीत कमी 3 ते 4 माणसांची अवस्था झालेली की प्रॉब्लेम शंटिंग मिझोराम. So the only thing that can be done with you is, we don't want you in Kerala, we don't want you over here. What can be done is you go to Mizoram. So for a state like that to say that you would survive, it might survive, but at the same time you are not saying this that we are providing a level playing field to everybody. You are doing everything possible to see to it that the interest of the richer states in Western India would be well defended. So fundamentally capitalism का social Darwinism वाला idea कि once you ask the fit to survive, everyone with the urge to survive tries to become fit. Good, but that happens in a level playing, जहाँ पे there is a level playing field. If there is no level playing field, how do you ensure that those states are going to survive? Whereas everything that has been happening till date is happening in a certain way which is geared towards further development as far as the Western Indian states are concerned. As a statement, how do you survive? पण तसं म्हणणं सोपं असतं की नाही, फिटच सर्वाइव्ह, बरोबर आहे ना, फिट सर्वाइव्ह. And with the urge to survive, everyone tries to become fit. But that process of becoming fit essentially calls in for an interface with the state. A capitalist system does not operate in a situation of dissociation from the state. And for states with the capacity to lobby of one MP in the Lok Sabha, you can very well imagine कि क्या हालत होने वाले. Are you getting it? I don't know. The Planning Commission is not accountable to Parliament. Now I am not going to talk about that because we have talked n number of times about it. It suggested that the Commission has become a parking lot for IS officers between assignments, and that was sort of Chibber's first major concern. आता Chibber येतोय का खूप interesting background मधनं. Chibber comes from the WTO. Chibber comes from associations in which India has worked with the World Bank and the IMF. So Chibber is a bureaucrat that has time and again over the last 20 odd years dealt with organizations and associations outside India, dealing with the regime of either the Bretton Woods institutions or with the WTO. त्या पर्स्पेक्टिव्ह मधनं आल्याच्या नंतर असं म्हणणं ते कमिशन काय बरोबर नाहीये. कारण तुम्ही करताय काय की द कमिशन इज फिटेड अप विथ पीपल who are nothing but either retired IAS officers, the last commission was actually fitted up with a number of them, or with people who are on some sort of deputation. So in the name of saying that what we would create is a body of experts, pan-India experts, who would have a certain sort of understanding of the fields in which they are working in, we have ended up creating a body which is almost a parking lot for bureaucrats. One problem with it being a parking lot for bureaucrats is bureaucrats by instinct are what are called as yes men to politicians. Bureaucrats by instinct, there's no reason ना की असं काही वेगळं नसतं ना. आफ्टर ऑल जर माझं सत्तेत असणं, माझं त्या ऑफिसमध्ये राहणं हे कुठं ना कुठेतरी इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन हाऊ वुड माय इमिजिएट बॉस, who at some point of time or the other as a politician is going to take a look at me. Obviously by instinct I am something that is called as an yes man. So the problem with the commission being fitted up with what are called as bureaucrats, if you remember what I had said in the last thing, I had said this, that the early commissions were fitted with people who had phenomenal expertise. म्हणजे तुम्ही जर पहिल्या अख्ख्या नेहरू पिरियड मधल्या कमिशन्स बघितल्या तर त्या नेहरू पिरियड मधल्या सगळ्या कमिशन्स वर फिटेड अप विथ पीपल who came from phenomenal backgrounds in science, technology, engineering, academics, economics, practically all of this. With the urge that we have got something to do for this country, with the urge that ते जे मी मागच्याच म्हणताना म्हटलं की देश बांधायचा आहे, म्हणजे ते काय करायचंय ते त्यांना पण माहित नाही, ते आपल्याला पण माहित नाही की त्यांनी बांधून एक्झॅक्टली काय बांधलं, पण ती जी इन्स्टिंक्ट होती, the instinct was की we have got to build the country. So that those commissions were completely different, given the fact that those commissions were largely manned by people who owed their position in the commission to acts outside government. I am a statistician. My being a statistician is not incumbent upon my service with the government. I am a world-renowned economist. I am a world-renowned engineer or a scientist. My position is incumbent on my achievements outside government. So in that sort of situation, those people could easily say no. As the commission evolved in the 1970s under Mrs. Gandhi, the commission started evolving as a body of people who definitely had expertise. Nobody is going to take that away from them. But who were normally prone to, madam आप बताइए ना, तिला जर माहिती असतील तुला कशाला विचारलं? She has brought up the matter before a full body of the commission. It's obvious that she has brought the matter up in the full body of the commission precisely because she doesn't know. But that grand period in which India and Indira were equated with each other, that was a period which was responsible for the commission evolving as a parking lot for bureaucrats. And that is something that the chippers of the world are always going to have a problem with, कारण त्यांचा परमनंट बघण्याचा दृष्टिकोन असा आहे. People of the variety that become bureaucrats in this country, coming from the provincial and sub-provincial social backgrounds, do not have inkling of an idea as to how does the world trade system work, how does the international finance system work, how integrated are we a part of all of this, and how stupid are their ways in terms of trying to obstacle everything regarding this. So chibber variety of bureaucrats with a more better interface with world trade and world finance, यांना परमनंटली अशा प्रकारच्या ब्युरोक्रॅट्सचा प्रॉब्लेम असणार आहे की जे तुम्हाला गेल्या 20 वर्षांमध्ये बघायला मिळाले, की ज्यांच्या बाबतीत त्यांचा परमनंट बघण्याचा दृष्टिकोन असा असणार आहे, हे ही लोक नाही करू शकत, ते त्यांना हे कळतच नाही. Coming from the sort of provincial and sub-provincial levels and social backgrounds that you come up from, you are never going to understand international trade and finance. तिथं सांगून उपयोग नसतो की नाही मी आहे ना BA इकॉनॉमिक्स केलंय फर्ग्युसन मध्ये, कारण त्यांच्यासाठी ते देखील एका लेवलला तेवढंच प्रोव्हिन्शियल असतं. हे तुम्हाला कोणी सांगितलं की BA इकॉनॉमिक्स फर्ग्युसन मध्ये केल्याच्या नंतर तुम्हाला लय भारी अक्कल येते? नाही येत. So their problem permanently has been the sort of bureaucrats which have gone about managing the Indian system for the last 20 years. Until and unless you don't do away with these people, there is no way by which you can. They work from a premise which says globalization is a win-win situation. Globalization is something that is in the first place a system that goes about mutually benefiting every party who's a party to the game. And to get those benefits, you need to have an open mind about it. So this whole attitude ki हे नाही होऊ शकत, कारण हे नियमातच बसत नाही. असं कसं म्हणता येईल ना? नियमात बसत नाही तर ते नियमात बसून घेण्यासाठी तर तुला तिथं बसवलंय ना. तू जर असं दर वेळेला सांगायला लागला की नाही साहेब हे करता येत नाही कारण यांना नियमातच बसत नाही, द होल पॉइंट इज की लाईक व्हॉट द हेल आर यू डुईंग ओव्हर देयर? बसवून घेणे हे महत्वाचं आहे ना. फ्रेम 6 इंचाची आहे, फोटो 10 इंचाचा घेऊन आला तरी बसला पाहिजे. बसत नाही म्हणजे काय? And until and unless you don't do that, this is not going to benefit you. This is at no point of time going to benefit you. तो त्यांचं अंडरस्टँडिंग खूप साधं आहे की हे काढून टाकणं फार गरजेचं आहे. त्या पोझिशन मधनं आलेली केस आहे. आता गंमत काय होती की बाबा कावळा बसलाय आणि फांदी मोडली अशी अवस्था आहे, आणि कावळा बसून फांदी मोडलेली आहे. तर फांदी मोडलेली तर खरं आहे, पण आपल्याला एक जेन्युइन कारण पाहिजे की फांदी का मोडलेली आहे. तर आम्ही त्याच्यासाठी काय केलेलं आहे, वी हॅव फॉलन बॅक इन द टाइम ऑनर्ड वेस्टमिनिस्टर पार्लमेंटरी सिस्टम, की सगळ्या प्रकारचे निर्णय जे आपल्याला घ्यायचे असतात पण जे घेणं साधारणपणे प्रशस्त दिसू शकत नाही, किंवा जर घेतले तर त्याचा काहीतरी खूप मोठा भाव होऊ शकतो, समिती विमिती नेमावी, त्यांना अभ्यास करायला लावा, आणि अशा समितीच्या अभ्यासपूर्ण आणि संशोधनपूर्ण अहवालाच्या नंतर समितीने केलेल्या शिफारशींनुसार आपला कार्यभाग उरकून घ्या. आणि त्याला काय असं सांगावं की इन अकॉर्डन्स इन लाईट ऑफ द रेकमेंडेशन्स ऑफ सो अँड सो कमिटी. सो यू ऑटोमॅटिकली मेक इट फील की दिस इज मोर बेटर, दिस इज लाईक समथिंग दॅट इज मच मोर ब्रॉड बेस्ड. You take out this whole idea from the public mind ki they have got to suspect ki was there a rat in all of this? There was no rat in all of this. There was nothing fishy about it. Everything was perfectly well. That work has been done by the IEO. आता याच्यानं व्हॉट इज छिबर एक्सपेक्टिंग वी डोंट नो. आता ते बघायला पाहिजे की छिबरच्या जीवाचा सदाशिवम कधी होणार आहे. तो ज्या दिवशी होणार त्या दिवशी आपल्याला कळणार की एक्झॅक्टली छिबरला ह्याच्यातनं काय म्हणाल. पण आत्ताच्या घडीला तरी द छिबर रिपोर्ट बिकम्स द परफेक्ट ग्राउंड टू आर्ग्यू फॉर द डिसबँडिंग ऑफ द कमिशन. अ वेल आर्ग्यूड, वेल रिसर्च सॉर्ट ऑफ अ रिपोर्ट विच डझंट पुट इन एनी एव्हिडन्सेस फॉर इट. म्हणजे ह्या ज्या सगळ्या गोष्टी म्हटलेल्या आहेत या इतक्या सेल्फ एव्हिडंट आहे. कमिशन अनकॉन्स्टिट्युशनल आहे याच्यासाठी कसलेही पुरावे द्यायची रिपोर्टमध्ये गरज नाही, कारण कमिशन अनकॉन्स्टिट्युशनलच आहे. Getting it? So they have done this in a perfectly safe manner wherein there would be no flag that can be attracted by them. We have done this exactly as this should have been done. Get an expert report, you get a recommendation by an expert report, and in the light of this we decide that this has to be done away with. Who are the people who would be at a loss? Anyway, there is no reason why you should cry out for the members of the commission who would stand disbanded. Ever since the government came into place, कुठल्याही नवीन सरकारच्या गेल्या 20 वर्षांमधली सगळ्यात महत्वाची अपॉइंटमेंट जर कुठली असायची तर ती प्लॅनिंग कमिशनचा डेप्युटी चेअरमन आणि प्लॅनिंग कमिशन बोर्डाची असायची. 100 days have elapsed. There is no commission, there is no member who has been appointed. The old members carry on in the way in which they are, especially those who haven't put in their papers. A number of them have put in their papers. The deputy chairman has put in his papers, he has walked away. They have all walked away. 800 bureaucrats manage the commission. 800. I don't know, it's very sad. It's a very sad person that I'm quoting. Franz Kafka had said this once upon a time. Every revolution evaporates away, leaving behind the slime of a new bureaucracy. प्रत्येक नवीन क्रांती ही एका पॉइंटच्या नंतर काय त्याला म्हणतो वाफ होऊन जाते, आणि पाठीमागं जर ती काही ठेवत असेल तर एक नवीन नोकरशाहीची घाण मागं ठेवून जाते. अँड रिमेंबर दिस क्वाईट वेल. What happened on the 16th of May, at least in Pune, was told to us by a number of people that there was a revolution. मग कसं आपण कायम इव्हन हँडेड असतो. सो आम्हाला हे जे काही 16 मेला झालंय आम्हाला त्याच्याबद्दल पण असंच सांगितलं की नाही ही क्रांती झालेली, म्हणून आम्हाला त्याच्याबद्दलच हेच सांगायचं आहे की एव्हरी रेव्होल्युशन इव्हॅपोरेट्स लिव्हिंग बिहाइंड द स्लाइम ऑफ अ न्यू ब्युरोक्रेसी. दॅट्स ऑल. It does nothing. 800 people manning the commission, creating reports, doing everything. In fact, ever since the Modi government took over, the commission has helped prepare 35 cabinet notes to aid policy decisions, say its officials. On an average, it answered 10 questions from MPs every week during the budget session of Parliament in July and August. Nothing has changed for us. We send our comments on cabinet notes, we prepare budget estimates for various ministries. We are also looking at different policy matters related to our subjects, says a senior advisor with the Planning Commission. So board जे आहे त्याच्यातली लोक गायब झाली, पण राहिलेले जे सगळे डिपार्टमेंट्स आहेत ते त्यांच्या लेवलला अस्तित्व आहेत, त्यांच्या लेवलला कार्यरत आहेत. आणि ऑब्व्हियसली फॉर अ गव्हर्नमेंट विच हॅज कम न्यू इन पॉवर, द ओनली अक्युमुलेटेड सोर्स of expertise that it can dip into and not be fooled about is at the end of the day the Planning Commission. So कॅबिनेटला निर्णय घ्यायचा आहे. निर्णय घेण्यासाठी आपल्याला याच्यावरती इन्फॉर्मेशन पाहिजे. इन्फॉर्मेशन मिळण्याची जागा प्लॅनिंग कमिशनला पाठवून द्या. 35 notes for cabinet decisions, 10 MP questions per week in what was supposed to be in recent India one of the most happening parliamentary sessions. So has the Planning Commission gone out of use? It has not gone out of use. It is not going to go out of use. As far as the disbanded members are concerned, त्यांचा कुणाचाही प्रॉब्लेम नाही. त्यांचे सगळ्यांचे व्यवस्थित अशा प्रकारचे नेटवर्क्स असतात की ज्याच्यामध्ये ते कन्सल्टन्सी करतात, ते रिसर्च वर्क करतात, ते वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारच्या ऑर्गनायझेशन हेड करतात. सो असं काही घडलेलं नाही की बाबा प्लॅनिंग कमिशन काढून टाकल्याच्या नंतर लोक उपाशी तापाशी आणि काय त्याला म्हणतात म्हणजे भिकेला लागलेली आहेत ना. दे आर डुईंग क्वाईट वेल. Nothing of this is going to suffer. But as of now, without a head, without a board, the commission's different departments continue to interface with the government as if nothing has changed. कारण त्यांचं म्हणणं आहे की आम्हाला आतापर्यंत, कारण सरकारी कारभार आहे, सरकारी कारभार चालतोच या गोष्टीवरती. पत्र आलं का, तुम्ही घरी जा असं पत्र आलेलं आहे का, नाही आलेलं. मग तुम्ही घरी जा असं पत्र जोवर येत नाही तोपर्यंत रोज जाऊन बसायचं आहे. ते ज्या दिवशी ऑफिशियली कम्युनिकेट केलं जाईल आणि ते पत्र लागतं, ते ट्विट वरती नाही चालत. सो यू कॅन ट्वीट दिस सेइंग की आता तुम्ही घरी जा. ते ऑफिशियल डॉक्युमेंट लागतं, कारण मग ते डॉक्युमेंट ते डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ पर्सनल अँड ट्रेनिंग कडे घेऊन जायला लागतं. त्याच्या हिशोबानुसार पेन्शन चालू होतं. सो डॉक्युमेंट आल्याशिवाय काम चालू होत नाही. आम्हाला लेटर आलेलंच नाहीये. उलटी आम्हाला लेटर अशी आलेली आहेत की आम्हाला या गोष्टींवरती तुमच्याकडनं माहिती पाहिजे, आम्हाला या प्रश्नांची उत्तरं पाहिजेत. आमच्याकडे उलट्याच गोष्टी आलेल्या आहेत. सो apparently what seems to be the case is what the Chibber note says, ki the commission would be disbanded as far as its policy function is concerned, but the commission would continue as far as its vast amount of function in terms of collating and disseminating data is concerned. सो ती जी ऍक्टिव्हिटी आहे ती कमिशन कदाचित नवीन सेटअप मध्ये देखील करत राहणार. पण कमिशन मोडीत कुठं निघणार तर इन टर्म्स ऑफ ग्रांटिंग पॉलिसी क्लिअरन्सेस, मेकिंग पॉलिसी डिसिजन्स, officiating between all manner of symbolic functions in terms of interfacing between state and union government, different departments of the union. या फंक्शन मधनं कमिशन डिसबँड केलं जाणार. याच्या पुढे you do not have anything that is called the veto role, a negative role in which you sit in a position of authority and say, in our considered opinion, we feel that this should not be done. No, you no longer have a considered opinion because you do not have that position. But in terms of collating data, in terms of disseminating data, in terms of commissioning researchers, the commission possibly would continue. And that at the end of the day would be a very pivotal role as far as the commission is concerned. म्हणजे ते त्याचं खूप पूर्वीपासूनचं देखील एक महत्त्वाचं काम होतं. सुरुवात त्याची ज्यावेळेला झाली त्यावेळेला देखील त्याचं एक अत्यंत महत्त्वाचं काम होतं की बाबा in an independent setup after the elections of 1952, when we had a sort of situation laid out before us which said that we have got to take a decision about what should be done right in this country. The first problem of the government was, how do we know as to what is right for the country? What sort of information base do we have about it? Authentic, validated, standardized information. सो 52 पासून कमिशननी जी एक अत्यंत महत्त्वाची भूमिका बजावलेली आहे ती बजावलीच या गोष्टी बाबत आहे की कीप ऑन कलेक्टिंग वास्ट अमाउंट ऑफ डेटा ऑफ एन एक्स्ट्रीमली हाय सायंटिफिक नेचर, कीप ऑन व्हॅलिडेटिंग अँड ऑथेंटिकेटिंग इट so that this can become the policy input for the government to take policy decisions. And that function possibly they'll continue to do. That function nobody can take away from them. I think not even him. अर्थात ही त्याचं म्हणणं असं आहे की आम्हाला असल्या प्रकारच्या गोष्टींची गरज नाहीये. मला खूप चांगलं माहिती आहे की या देशासाठी काय करणं चांगलं आणि गरजेचं आहे. त्यामुळे त्या भूमिकेत आपण असल्या कारणाने कदाचित नाही होणार, पण कदाचित गरज लागणार. समजतंय? सो ॲट द एंड ऑफ द डे, the one fundamental reason why it was gone was because it had a deep Nehruvian imprint. Had it not had that Nehruvian imprint on it, possibly it might have had survived. पण उसका जितना एक क्या बोलते हैं ना, डिटेल्ड किस्म का इनएडिबल मार्क था कि दिस वाज नेहरूज ड्रीम, दिस वाज दिस. अर्थात वन स्मॉल प्रॉब्लम, as I said even in the last one, this was not a Nehruvian idea. This was a completely different idea. I'll just read a couple of things about it. The February 1938 Haripura session of the Indian National Congress was in many ways a landmark event, presided over by Subhash Chandra Bose. Okay. According to one account, Bose was driven to the venue of the Congress event in a ceremonial chariot pulled by 51 bullocks along the path lined up by spirited crowds. He delivered an oft-quoted speech that is no stranger to this column. This is a newspaper column from which it says. In this speech, he said that India should adopt a uniform Roman script for all Indian languages. आता बोस महान माणूस होता आणि बोसची महानता ही सध्याच्या सरकारला देखील त्या अर्थाने विवादास्पद नाहीये. येते लक्षात? पॉलिटिकल स्ट्रॅटेजी कायम स्मार्ट अशा अर्थानेच ठेवायला लागते की तुमच्या जाडीने तुम्हाला धुवायचे. सो द बोस आयडिया इन अन इंडिया वेअर the Indian Prime Minister's first notion was the government should function in Hindi. Bose once upon a time said that to bring about a certain sort of uniformity among the different Indian languages, all Indian languages should be written in the Roman script. Abolish all other scripts. आता हे खूप elitist वाटू शकतं, कारण 1937 हे 1938चं भाषण आहे. 1947ला ज्या वेळेला आपण स्वतंत्र झालो त्यावेळेला आपल्या 28 कोटी काय जे काही देशवासी होते, जे कोणी असतील ते, त्यांच्यापैकी फक्त 13% लोक साक्षर होते आणि त्या 13पैकी फक्त 3% लोक हॅड डिग्रीज इन हायर एज्युकेशन. त्याच्यामुळे द बोस आयडिया दॅट ऑल इंडियन लँग्वेजेस शुड बी रिटन इन द रोमन स्क्रिप्ट, फ्रॉम दॅट स्मॉल स्टॅटिस्टिक्स साऊंड्स टू बी अ व्हेरी इलिटिस्ट सॉर्ट ऑफ एन आयडिया. की सगळ्यात जर भाषा रोमन स्क्रिप्ट मध्ये लिहिल्या त्या एक्झॅक्टली वाचणार कोणी, आणि ज्यांना हे वाचता येत नाही त्यांनी एक्झॅक्टली काय वाचायचं. गेटिंग इट? वन स्मॉल प्रॉब्लेम. Right after this, Bose outlined his plan for the economic revival of India. To eradicate poverty, Bose said, and I quote, "A comprehensive scheme of industrial development under state ownership and state control will be indispensable," unquote. Bose was the founder president of something called the Forward Bloc, which was a part of the left front and which even today is a part of the left front. इथे लक्षात, द मोदी variety of Indian nationalism feels Bose is important because by tagging on to Bose they can completely and continuously keep on hitting at the Congress. But for that matter of fact, the Congress under Nehru was a much better conductor of Bose's economic ideology as compared to the stupid organization which happened before the BJP came into existence, which was called as the Jansangh. Jansangis will become what are called as Gandhian socialists. The Gandhian socialists banth in the 1980s. But till that point of time, they had extremely weird and crazy ideas. Some of them even now persist. The whole idea that the cow is a very important thing, शेण हे राष्ट्रीय उत्थानाचं अत्यंत महत्त्वाचं उत्पाद आहे, त्याच्यावरती आमचा अगाध अशा प्रकारचा अजूनही विश्वास आहे. कारण शेणाचे सगळ्या प्रकारचे उपयोग जे आम्हाला माहिती आहेत त्याच्यातला एक महत्त्वाचा उपयोग जो आम्ही आवर्जून तुम्हाला सांगू शकतो तो म्हणजे शेणाने घर सारवलं तर न्यूक्लिअर अटॅक झाल्याच्या नंतर रेडिएशनचा प्रभाव पडत नाही. मी खोटं बोलत नाहीये. You can consult the different GoSeva manuals across the country in different languages. They make this point, and they are very serious when they make this point. They don't have any of the Einsteins of the world who have gone about researching की शेण आणि न्यूक्लिअर रेडिएशन याचा एक्झॅक्टली काय संबंध आहे. पण ते आवर्जून हा मुद्दा उपस्थित करतात. त्याच्यामुळे अजूनही आमच्या राष्ट्रीय उत्थानाच्या सगळ्या आयडिया या शेणात न जातात. And for us, and I again quote, this is what Bose said, the Planning Commission will have to consider carefully and decide which of the home industries could be revived despite the competition of modern factories and in which sphere large-scale production should be encouraged. He says, the state on the advice of the Planning Commission will have to adopt a comprehensive scheme for gradually socializing our entire agricultural and industrial system in both spheres of production and appropriation. Okay. Later in October of that year, that's 1938 itself, Bose convened a conference of the provincial ministers of industries. What you have to remember is there have been what are called as provincial elections conducted under the Government of India Act 1935 and 1937, under which the Congress has been in power in 8 of the 11 provinces. So what he goes about doing is he convenes a meeting of all the provincial ministers who are allocated something called the industries portfolio. This conference then appointed an All India National Planning Commission in 1938 in the month of October, chaired by Nehru. Several subcommittees were formed and reports were written. But before a comprehensive report could be produced in 1940, World War II broke out, Nehru was jailed, Bose fled away from India, and the entire thing had to be brought to a close. When Bose revived his government out of India, there was a National Planning Commission for the Azad Hind government. Okay, on account of all of this, the Planning Commission even published a book titled as Subhash Chandra Bose, Pioneer of Indian Planning. So what Nehru was doing was essentially borrowing, and possibly by borrowing, paying homage to an idea which his friend had. Are you getting it? So आम्हाला बोस आवडतात, पण आम्हाला सगळी लोक आवडतात. आम्हाला भगतसिंग आवडतो, आम्हाला बोस आवडतात, आम्हाला फुले आवडतात, आम्हाला सगळी लोक आवडतात. आम्ही फक्त मुद्दा काय असतो की या सगळ्यांचा आपल्याला वापर काय करायचा आहे, तर काँग्रेस नावाच्या गोष्टीला धुण्यासाठी झाडू म्हणून या सगळ्या गोष्टींचा वापर करायचा आहे. Are you interested in the ideas that these people stood for? No. Our fundamental interest is in the personalities that these people were. So आम्हाला परमनंट इंटरेस्ट जो आहे ना तो इज इन पर्सनॅलिटीज. आमचं पॉलिटिक्सचं सगळं अंडरस्टँडिंग आणि आमचं पॉलिटिक्सचा सगळा सेन्स हा पर्सनॅलिटी सेंटर्ड सेन्स आहे. वुड यू स्टँड बाय द आयडियाज दॅट दीज पीपल स्टूड फॉर? बोस इज गुड इनफ, कारण मग आपल्याला अशा सगळ्या बत्त्या लावता येतात. नाही पण 45ला मेलच नसता आणि नेहरूच्या वेळी पंतप्रधान झाला असता. पण इन दॅट केस नेहरूला एक इटालियन सून यायला 2 पिढ्या जायला लागल्या. बोस जर 47ला पंतप्रधान झाला असता, जर्मन बायको नसता घेऊन आला. येते काय लक्षात? विदेशी नागरिकत्वाचा मुद्दा. It is for all these reasons, as I said. But perhaps this is also a bit misleading. The title may actually belong to somebody else of being a pioneer of Indian planning. Turns out that Nehru was not the original pick to chair Bose's hallowed commission. The honor had been conferred upon Mokshgundam Visvesvaraya. Robert Anderson writes in Nucleus and Nation. It's a brilliant book all by itself. If anybody is interested in how did nuclear science and nuclear physics evolve in India before independence and after independence. It was Visvesvaraya, a renowned engineer and public administrator in the state of Mysore, where he was a Diwan, who was better known in this committee as the author of a 1934 300-page book called The Planned Economy for India. Okay, So this is Visvesvaraya, who has already in 1934, full 4 years before this commission is actually set up under Nehru's chairmanship, Visvesvaraya has already gone about writing, and it's not a small thing, it's a 300-page book which talks of a planned economy for India. Visvesvaraya wrote this book with a remarkable full vision for a planned Indian economy. It even included a 10-year plan and the outlines of a planning body. Left to private enterprise, industries will not make satisfactory progress. Government should take the lead, as every progressive government is doing now. This is what he says in 1934, on the background of the Great Depression of 1929. I hope even the context is well known. Bold policies should be laid down, and that too, an official organization should be brought into existence, and correct comprehensive reports of progress supported by adequate statistics should be published yearly. This is what the book says. Clearly, no one seemed better placed to lead the commission than Visvesvaraya. But just as a consensus built around the great engineer, scientist Meghnad Saha convinced Visvesvaraya that without political leadership, Bose's baby would be seen as too academic. Visvesvaraya graciously bowed out. Anderson writes, and Nehru, then in Europe, was invited to become the chairperson of this commission. It was in 1938 when all of this is happening. Nehru is on a grand tour of Europe with a sick wife who is getting better in Switzerland. समझते हैं कहाँ फार कठिन नहीं है. The problem is planning commission originally किसी और का आइडिया था. Nehru borrowed it because Nehru was sort of a bum chum with Bose in an idea which was called as the Congress Socialist Party. So that's where you have a certain sort of sharing of ideas, a sharing of what exactly needs to be done, and so on and so forth. And it's from there that it moves into this. They have a lot of respect for Visvesvaraya for a very simple reason, because by the time you're talking about this in 1934, he's already seen as someone who is the pioneer engineer who went about building the Krishna Sagar Dam. So त्यांचं Krishna Sagar achievement जे आहे is already behind him when this has been done. And it's on that background that he is seen as a more senior person whose words carry a certain amount of weight. Okay, and he is writing almost like all the academics in the 1930s would write on the background of the Great Depression of America of 1929, which will rapidly spread across to Europe, and the survival of the Soviet economy during that entire debacle. And as I pointed out in the last class, the only reason why the Soviets stay out of this mess and can actually demonstrate better indices of performance is simply because the Soviet system is not a part of international trade. So वो जो transatlantic system of trade है, जो collapse हो जाएगा after the depression will begin in the month of October 1929, the Soviets are not a part of that. And given the fact that the Soviets are not a part of that, the Soviets can always put up their heads and say this, that we are unaffected. It's something like the Indians in 1998 saying ki Southeast Asian crisis, Mexican crisis, Argentinian crisis, we are not going to be affected by it. For a simple reason, Karan, the capital account is yet closed. The rupee is not tradable on the capital account. When you have perfectly open, integrated trade and finance systems in place, the old idea stands. A butterfly flies its wings in Mexico, you're going to get a typhoon in China. पर उसका पहला कंडीशन जो है सिस्टम इंटीग्रेटेड होना चाहिए. सोवियत सिस्टम इंटीग्रेटेड नहीं है क्योंकि सोवियत सिस्टम का इकोनॉमिक बेसिस और आइडियोलॉजिकल बेसिस कंप्लीटली इंडिपेंडेंट है. बट देन इट्स ऑन दैट बैकग्राउंड दैट all sorts of academics, people who could read and write, is how I would very simply put them at that point of time. In Europe, across the world, of the Visvesvaraya variety, in the 1930s would make a strong argument for we need to learn from them. He idea कि everything will take care of itself in an open economy because everyone has an interest in seeing to it that the economy survives, possibly doesn't work. Is that a valid enough argument now? The answer is no. With the way in which the world trade system has been crafted since at least 1995, the answer no longer is valid. अब अगर कुछ हुआ तो सनम सब डूबने वाले. अब ऐसा नहीं होगा कि like there would be one Soviet Union which would stand as
the temple on the hill sort of a variety ki like, look, we are what you should have had followed, and unfortunately since you didn't, then you all sing. Ata everybody is a part of the system. So abhi if the system goes in for a toss, everyone suffers. Are you getting it? But planning in the first place in the Indian context started somewhere else. It didn't start with 1952 as we have always been told and taught in our school books ki nahi 52 ला planning commission आलं with Nehru as the chairperson. नाही, त्याचा काहीतरी त्याच्याही आधीचा अवतार आहे. And most of the times we forget to in some way or the other understand, appreciate and analyze the fact that most systems that have been put into place in independent India after 1947 do have their roots in the period before 1947. So 1947 इतना open and shut case नहीं है कि नहीं everything closed and a new world began. No. A lot made a transition from 47 to the period after 47. Nehru was very clear about it. Ki nahi, what sort of people should sit in this commission? What sort of people should go about managing this commission? He of course had the drive for it, the will for it, and the purpose for it. Once you face the sort of troubles that the country faces in the period of the mid-1960s, with 2 wars back to back, with 2 to 3 seasons of failed monsoons, with the West in a notion that India needs to be punished for being closely identified with the Soviet bloc, with the Soviets involved in their own affairs in East Asia and completely neglecting Indian affairs, things will change drastically after that. So once you move in the 1970s, the story is completely different. And then when you come to the 1990s, story is thoroughly different. Does America have a planning commission? It doesn't. Does China have a planning commission? It has. But the Chinese planning commission since 1998 has started evolving, that's the time when Deng would be dead and gone, into what is called as a National Development and Reforms Commission. When the Chinese commission is no guide to Indian affairs, म्हणजे ते त्यांनी सांगितले की बाबा तुम्ही लोक आम्हाला आयडियाज द्या की बाबा आता प्लॅनिंग कमिशन गेल्याच्या नंतर त्याच्या जागी काय आलं पाहिजे, आपकी फरमाईश. मग आता आपल्याला जास्त डेमोक्रॅटिक सरकार चालवायचं असल्या कारणाने आता आपण असंच सरकार चालवणार आहे की आता वेळोवेळी आपकी फरमाईश विचारली जावी आणि ज्याच्यामध्ये तुमची फरमाईश आम्हाला पॉलिटिकली अनसुटेबल असेल तिथे ती डेफिनेटली आणि अत्यंत कन्व्हिनियंटली साईड ट्रॅक केली जाईल. पण नवीन नवीन दिवस आहेत त्याच्यामुळे बरं असतं. सगळ्या नवीन लग्नांमध्ये असंच असतं ना, दोन्ही पार्टी एकामेकाला सतत विचारत बसतात हे करायचं का, हे झालं पाहिजे का. It's a new marriage. You're going to carry on. Let the marriage get stale and then you would know the level of communication. भांडी आपल्याला सुरुवात झाली ना की मग कम्युनिकेशन कळेल, तोवर नाही कळणार. मग नवीन नवीन चाललंय आपलं की तुम्ही आम्हाला सुचवा तुम्हाला काय म्हणायचंय. आमच्या डोक्यात ऑलरेडी आहे की आम्हाला करायचं काय. वी वॉन्ट अ बॉडी लाईक द नॅशनल डेव्हलपमेंट अँड रिफॉर्म्स कमिशन ऑफ द चायनीज व्हरायटी. पण द सॅड प्रॉब्लेम विथ मिस्टर मोदी इज he gets easily enticed by a number of big and very flamboyant ideas without going into the context in which those ideas have evolved. He doesn't have a sort of understanding or an appreciation of the context in which those ideas came from. All that he has an appreciation of is छान दिसते तुमची रेल्वे बरीच चांगली आहे, पण रेल्वे आली कशातनं, पैसे किती लागतात, पैसे कुठनं येतात, हायवे चांगला दिसतो, बिल्डिंग चांगली दिसते, आम्हाला या सगळ्याचा अप्रूप आहे. पण या सगळ्या गोष्टी काय संदर्भामध्ये इव्हॉल्व्ह होतात, काय पद्धतीने इव्हॉल्व्ह होतात, चायनासारख्याच देशात का होऊ शकतात. Is it possible to do this in the Indian context? The NDRC is a perfect body manned by everyone who is communist. It's a body answerable to the Chinese Communist Party. The party vents all documents that it gets from this to the National People's Congress. तो NDRC मुळातच एक अशा प्रकारची बॉडी आहे की विच इज स्ट्रॉंगली रूटेड इन अ व्हेरी डिफरंट सॉर्ट ऑफ पॉलिटिकल कल्चर, अ टॉप डाऊन पॉलिटिकल कल्चर इन विच द स्टेट टॉक्स टू यू. झीने आतापर्यंत तसलं काही केलेलं नाहीये एक्सेप्ट फॉर सेइंग की लोकांनी नीट वागलं पाहिजे इन टर्म्स ऑफ करप्शन. हू जो होता ना, हू वॉज इन पावर बिफोर झी, had all manner of lists of what are called as do's and don'ts. रेल्वे स्टेशनवर चुकू नये, was it do or don't, which had been listed out, the 8 do's, the 8 don'ts. ते चीनी सत्ताधीशांना असल्या गोष्टी करण्यामध्ये भयानक रस असतो, त्या असल्या गोष्टी करत राहतात आणि त्यांना असं सतत वाटत राहतं की आपल्या देशामध्ये सगळं जे काही चाललेलं आहे ते आपण जसं सांगतोय तद्वत चाललेलं आहे. ही सिस्टम निराळी आहे, आपली सिस्टम निराळी आहे. आपल्या सिस्टम मध्ये येईल एखादी बॉडी विच वुड बी कॉल्ड द नॅशनल डेव्हलपमेंट अँड रिफॉर्म्स कमिशन, बट कॅन इट फंक्शन इन द सेम वे ॲज द चायनीज वन वुड? बरं, आता असं करता येणार नाही ना की गेली जी बॉडी तुम्ही डिसबँड केलेली आहे ती कॉन्स्टिट्युशनली अनअप्रूव्ड होती and that became the basis for taking it out. आता नवीन बॉडी कॉन्स्टिट्युशनली अप्रूव्ड आणता येणार नाही ना. गेल्या 100 दिवसांना आमचा पहिला कार्यक्रम हा आहे की हे सगळी जी काही घाण काँग्रेसने निर्माण करून ठेवलेली आहे या घाणीतनं आपला मार्ग बाहेर कसा काढायचा. सो हाऊ कॅन यू मीट एव्हरी सिंगल लिगॅलिटी इन लेटर बट नॉट इन स्पिरिट? नॅशनल वाईल्ड लाईफ बोर्ड, तुम्ही काय सांगितलं? 5 NGOs, 10 इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर्स नेमलो. लेटर नॉट इन स्पिरिट. सी टू इट द बोर्ड इज मॅन्ड बाय पीपल हु आर नॉट गोइंग टू ऑब्जेक्ट टू एनी ऑफ युअर स्कीम्स. कायद्यातली तरतूद होती ना, पूर्ण केली. सो वुड ही बी लाईक स्टुपिड इनफ टू गो अबाउट ब्रिंगिंग इन टू प्लेस अ कमिशन फॉर विच ही वुड गो टू पार्लिमेंट अँड डिमांड अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट? द आन्सर इज नो. That's the reason why the think tank idea comes very comfortable and very suitable. कि ये बोल देने का कमिशन थिंक टँक आहे. भले याच्या आधी कमिशन कधीही थिंक टँक नव्हती, कमिशन खूप वेगळ्या प्रकारची बॉडी होती, पण आता अशा प्रकारचं एक नवीन सत्तेतल्या माध्यमातून मिथक तयार करायचं की कमिशन एक थिंक टँक होती आणि तो जुन्या प्रकारचा थिंक टँक आम्ही मोडीत काढलेला आहे आणि नवीन थिंक टँक एस्टॅब्लिश केलेला आहे. But would it get constitutional status? Growth at all costs. That's the only mantra on which we are going to work. And growth, development will take care of itself. Once you have optimal levels of growth, development is something that follows. असं आम्हाला जगदीश भगवतींनी सांगितलेलं. त्याच्यामुळे आपण ग्रोथचा पाठपुरावा करावा, डेव्हलपमेंटची काळजी डेव्हलपमेंट घेईल, आपण त्याच्या मागे लागू नये. Exactly, but the whole point as far as all of this is concerned is most of these concepts are extremely subjective in nature. You do not have a well mandated, a well defined sort of a concept which is accepted as a legality, as a binding legality. सो जिथं मुळातच एक वेल डिफाइंड कन्सेप्ट बाइंडिंग लिगॅलिटी नाहीये तिथं मुळातच एव्हरीथिंग हाऊ वुड वी से दिस इज नॉट इन्क्लुसिव्ह? वी आर डुइंग एव्हरीथिंग पॉसिबल टू सी टू इट दॅट एव्हरी पर्सन इन दिस कंट्री वुड हॅव अ बँक अकाउंट. इव्हेंच्युअली मूव्हिंग एव्हरीथिंग आउट फ्रॉम व्हॉट इज कॉल्ड एज सबसिडीज विच नीड टू बी बजेटेड. नॉन प्लॅन एक्सपेंडिचर मधला एक अत्यंत महत्वाचा कॉम्पोनंट वॉज व्हॉट वॉज कॉल्ड एज सबसिडीज. द फ्युअल, the food and the fertilizer subsidy. If all three subsidies can be moved out after the establishment of a regime wherein every Indian would have a bank account. But as I was talking about it the other day round, the first question which needs to be asked is, after 12 years of you being chief minister of that state, how many Gujaratis have a bank account? Is Gujarat what can be called as the only state in India which has universal financial inclusion, banking inclusion? आणि 6 कोटी गुजराती आहेत ना, म्हणजे असं पण नाही की बाबा यू आर केटरिंग टू अ मच लार्जर नंबर. 6 करोड़ का नंबर है. इन 12 years as chief minister of this wonderful state which was touted as the story in the run up to the elections, does every Gujarati have a bank account? And why doesn't he have one? He doesn't have one because we don't have something called as a Reserve Bank of Gujarat that would possibly have a governor in the form of Raghuram Rajan, who would be hell-bent on a notion which says that every Indian should have a bank account. त्याची मागच्याच म्हणताना मी म्हटलं, कार्यक्रम आमचा गेल्या 100 दिवसांचा काय आहे, गोडाऊन मध्ये जावे, त्यांनी सोडलेला सगळा माल वरती घेऊन यावा, लेबल बदलावी आणि दुकानात झटकून बिटकून आपल्या लेबलांनी लावून टाकावं. The every Indian should have a bank account idea is a Raghuram Rajan Chidambaram idea. They put into place the infrastructure that was required to roll this out. आम्ही काय केलं, आम्ही काय नाही केलं, हा प्लॅन ऑपरेशनलाइज व्हायच्या आधी ते गेल्यानंतर आम्ही आलो, लेवल बिवल बदलावा, पाटी बिटी लावून टाकावी, काम खतम. त्याला एवढी काळजी करायची. कारण if this is genuinely your baby, point is that which you fathered for 12 years, does it end up in a situation wherein everyone has a bank account? And a state like Gujarat, which is hyper capitalist, Gujarati commercial transactions don't happen on what is called as custom and credit. They happen on the basis of capital. So hyper capitalist state like that, इंक्लूजन के मायने बदलते हैं, इंक्लूजन के मायने बदलते रहेंगे, इंक्लूजन का नोशन ही बदलता रहेगा. I would really like to start on with that Piketty notion, but the problem is की तो इथं नाहीये. आणि मी आता जर त्याच्याबद्दल बोललो तर तो परत पुढच्या चॅनलला मला छळणार की तुम्ही थॉमस पिकेटी बद्दल बोला ना. म्हणून मग मी ते आता नाही बोलणार. आय टॉक अबाउट इट इन दॅट ओपन हाऊस वाला सेशन इन द लास्ट वीक. But we'll definitely talk of this. At the global level, there is a completely different understanding in terms of what is called as financial inclusion. As I was saying it the last time around, economics, as it evolved traditionally, evolved as a science which was located in what are called as scarcities. It was a science of trying to match up demand with supply in a world wherein two things were extremely scarce. Okay, one is something called as capital, two is something that is called as labor. With 7 billion people, no gold standard to print the currencies against, the 21st century is a century of surpluses, not of scarcities. The 21st century is a century wherein money can be endlessly created. There is no upper cap except for the trading value of the currency. आणि ती देखील adjustable आहे, ती देखील maneuverable आहे. सो कसल्याही प्रकारचा अपर कॅप नाहीये in terms of creating money. That's a different story. Money is not wealth. But at least fictionally, at least on paper, money can be created. You have 7 billion human beings. And Durdevani, the understanding of most economists across the world operates exactly according to the models of the 1970s and the 1980s, when large parts of the developed world were making a transition from what is called a world marked by scarcities to a world marked by surpluses. इकोनॉमिक्स का बेस अंडरस्टैंडिंग जो है ना वही बदलना और वही उसको ही एक नए सिरे से समझना बहुत जरूरी है. हा, आता मला जाताना असं सांगू नका की हे सगळं बरोबर आहे पण माझ्या खिशामध्ये आज 10 रुपये आहे. That's a different story. Notionally there is money around. It's a question of do you have it in your pocket? Well, त्याचं फंक्शन काहीतरी निराळच आहे. But notionally, endless amount of money can now be created. Vast amount of labor is available. आता या दोन गोष्टी या एक्झॅक्टली काय पद्धतीने जागतिक अर्थकारणाला एक नवीन वळण देतात. त्यामुळे या संदर्भामध्ये इन्क्लुजनची कन्सेप्टच बदलते. Getting it? It no longer stays to be the same old variety. No longer is somebody looking out for the state will feed me, will build a hospital for me, will take care of me. Ideally, this is what the state should do. But the state's notion is, will you take care of yourself? I'll give you money. मनी विच कॅन बी एंडलेसली प्रिंटेड, मनी ज्याला कसलाही अपर कॅप नाहीये, मी तुला पैसे देतो, तुझा इलाज, तुझं खाणं, तुझं तू मॅनेज कर. पैशाची व्हॅल्यू बदलत गेली तर ते आपण बघू. आधी हे घे, तर ते नंतरचे खेळ, तो राऊंड 2 मधला खेळ की बदलत जाणाऱ्या पैशाची व्हॅल्यू इन अकॉर्डन्स विथ व्हॉट इज कॉल्ड एज इन्फ्लेशन. मग हा खेळ कसा खेळायचा ते आपण नंतर बघू. तुर्तास आपल्याकडे बँक अकाउंट असावे, 1.5 लाख रुपयाचं हे इन्शुरन्स असावं, 30,000 रुपयाचं हे इन्शुरन्स असावं, काम चालू करावं. I don't know. So does that mean that these problems don't exist? They do. Karan it's not just a question, it's not as simple as this, na ki baba you go to a bank and you open a bank account and money starts flowing in. At least that's how the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan scheme has been at least now advertised. आणि सुरुवातीचा पैसा कदाचित येईल देखील तसा. बँक अकाउंट सस्टेन कसं होणार आहे पुढं? With price inflation practically eating into every aspect of income generated, how do you expect the bank account to sustain itself? Is the state doing anything to stabilize prices? Except for the budgetary measures which have been spelled out and which I feel are quite inadequate, nothing has been done on that count. म्हणजे गेल्या 100 दिवसांमध्ये गोष्टी स्वस्त झाल्यात का? मला तरी माहित नाही. म्हणजे तुम्ही मला सांगा अशा काही गोष्टी जर असतील, आय वुड रिअली लव्ह टू नो की बाबा काय जर काय अशा गोष्टी असतील की ज्या स्वस्त झालेल्या आहेत. हा But that's a function of the Chinese economy manufacturing more. That's not a function of the Indian government doing anything about it. It's just a function. If you look at most electronic goods which are lustily consumed across Asia, it's a big function of Chinese industrial manufacturing. They can't manufacture करत नाही. You name it, they do it. हे उभे राहून म्हटले ना मेक इन इंडिया, पण मी मागं म्हणताना म्हटलेलं आहे. म्हणजे मागच्या वर्षी याच्यामध्ये आय अनफॉर्च्युनेटली आय एम नॉट कॅरिंग दॅट विथ मी अँड सो सॅड अ डे ना की ती जी 189 ची लिस्ट आहे आपली ऑफ ईज ऑफ डुईंग बिझनेस, इंडिया इज 179 इन टर्म्स ऑफ ओपनिंग अ न्यू बिझनेस. So if anybody feels like it's very easy, the Indian Prime Minister said red tape nahi, red carpet hoga. I don't know why does he keep on talking like that. I seriously don't know. मे हे जे काही सिम्प्लिफाईंग आहे, शब्द छल आणि शब्द खेळ आहे, त्याच्यातनं काय एक्झॅक्टली साधलं जातं मला काय माहित नाही. म्हणजे इज ही लुकिंग आउट फॉर अ करियर इन बॉलिवूड स्क्रिप्ट रायटिंग आफ्टर एव्हरीथिंग इज डन? Imagine it would make for excellent dialogues as spoken by Ajay Devgan or stuff of that type. But I don't know, you don't do policy like this. Red tape nahi, red carpet hoga. What do you mean by that? You are 179 out of 189 in terms of opening a new business. Just by saying ki red च्या पुढनं tape काढा आणि carpet घाला, म्हटल्यानंतर everything becomes easier. In a situation where in starting businesses largely remains the domain of the states. I don't know. But most of the new businesses are not businesses which are going to generate anything that is called as employment in substantive numbers. Modern industry is highly mechanized. They are not looking out at you in terms of कितने अच्छे लोग हैं, कितनी सारी संख्या में लोगों को एम्प्लॉय किया जाएगा. नो, दे आर लुकिंग आउट फॉर किती इझी टर्म्स वरती जमीन मिळेल आम्हाला ते बोल. ती दिली ना, सुझुकीला दिली, टाटाला दिली. दे, if I'm not wrong, Suzuki says that the Gujarat facilities are not going to become functional till 2017. The Tatas are completely non-committal as to when are their firms going to start manufacturing cars in Gujarat. So if one of India's most advanced states under your dynamic leadership that got a vast amount of investment from all over the world is not able to get enterprise running. Whereas modern enterprise is not interested in employing people. You can as well go to hell. Modern enterprise का primary concern is in terms of driving up the profit margin, and this cannot be done by employing large numbers of people. This is done by bringing in more sophistication as far as mechanization of production is concerned. कहाँ से आएगा जॉब? पता नाही. दर दुसऱ्या आठवड्याला कुठेतरी जाऊन फिरून यावे, ढोल वाजवावेत, श्रावणात जाऊन सोमवारी पशुपतीनाथाची पूजा करून यावी आणि याला स्टेट व्हिजिट म्हणावे. फक्त ते करत असताना काडीचाही आपल्या मनाला लवलेश होऊ नये की आपण संपूर्ण भारतीय इतिहासातले पहिले पंतप्रधान असणार आहोत की ज्यांनी त्याच्या पहिल्या वर्षी इफ्तार पार्टी ऑर्गनाइज नाही केली. नाही, ही डिडंट डू दॅट. आता द नेक्स्ट इज गोइंग टू कम नेक्स्ट इयर. जापनीज मध्ये लोकांना गीता बिता देऊन यावे, सगळे धंदे करावेत. जॉब कहां से आएगा? तू चांगलं बोलतो, चांगलं बोलल्याने पोट थोडंच भरणार आहे माझं. I open this up for all manner of questions, comments, everything.